We are so glad to be here with you, our viewers today. I'm Lubegarian Andrew, together with my co-modulator,
Elizabeth Promise,
ready to drive you through this show.
Wherever you are watching us from, we welcome you to this program and thank you for choosing TV as your most favorite of all. It is the only TV which has programs that empower children with confidence and good self-expression.
In today's Kids Parliament, we shall be expounding more about one of the most threatening situations, especially to children, and that is none other than climate change. Just like Greta Thunberg said, I don't want you to be hopeful, but I want you to panic as if your house is on fire. The fact is, the earth is on fire. Climate change makes me panic.
Before I panic with you, let me welcome our discussants as they unpack what they have for us today.
Just to make it a little bit clear, climate change is the long-term alteration in temperature and typical weather patterns in a place. Let's begin with you, Grace, our climate scientist.
Thank you, moderator. The climate is always changing. How do you know? What have we learned? We all bear witness to the 4 seasons, varying in harshness depending on where you live and how your city and farming community have treated the environment. Nature is neither forgiving nor forgetting. The signs of climate change are so terrifying. Talk about the wildfires in Australia, floods in Germany, hurricanes in Florida, and ice melting in the Antarctica. Dear viewers, you may think that this only happens in other countries. Africans may think they are safe because I've only mentioned countries in other continents, but climate change threatens the lives and livelihoods of over 100 million in extreme poverty. Global warming is expected to melt Africa's remaining glaciers, and the reduction in water, which is essential to agriculture production, will create food insecurity, poverty, and population displacement. Now, let me bring this close here in our motherland, the Pearl of Africa. In Uganda, the impacts of climate change are heavy and off-season rains, flooding, especially in Kasese, caused by melting snow on Mount Rwenzori. You've always watched people cry for help as River Nyamwaba floods and bursts its banks, leading to loss of property and sometimes lives. Remember the landslides in Bududa, drought, disease outbreaks and epidemics like malaria and cholera, as well as lightning strikes. The effects and signs of climate change are quite a good number. Climate change has created new ecological niches that provide insect pests with opportunities to establish and spread in new geographic regions and also shift from one region to another. Ask yourself why these days we expect less grasshoppers, but more locusts instead. Therefore, farmers will expect to face new and intense pest problems due to the changing climate. The spread of crop pests across both physical and political boundaries threatens food security and is a global concern common to all countries and all regions. I'm just a discussant. Dear moderators and dear viewers, let's wake up. Thank you, Grace, for that elaborate presentation.
In case you have just joined us, we are here as students of public speech discussing climate change. Roy Paul, what package do you have for us today? You can talk to the viewers.
Moderator, Grace has clearly talked about signs of climate change. And with no doubts, we have had it all. And I want to say that we human beings, you and I, are to blame. According to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, human activities have contributed 100% on global warming. Allow me to just talk about one of these activities: deforestation. Farmers and loggers have cut down trees, replacing forests with farming land. The environment is changed rapidly in a short term.
Before we proceed, let me ask you, Julie, do you think ending deforestation will create any impact on ending climate change?
Thank you, moderator. Ending deforestation and restoring forests has other benefits beyond reducing global warming pollution. Tropical forests are home to many unique species of plants and animals that risk extinction if we do not protect their habitats. Tropical forests help regulate regional rainfall and prevent both floods and droughts. Reducing deforestation is not only a beneficial action against global warming, it also can make important contributions to saving biodiversity and supporting sustainable development. Therefore, my dear moderators and my dear viewers, we should really consider saving our forests. Thank you.
It's a bit hard for me to explain all these gases and other terms to the viewers. I hear greenhouse gases and others. Let me give 1 or 2 minutes to Victoria, our specialist, to educate us more about gases and their effects to climate change.
Thank you, moderator. I'll be delighted to explain these terms to our viewers so that they may have a better understanding on how they all connect with the changing climate. Greenhouse gases are gases in the atmosphere that trap heat. When rays from the sun hit the surface of the earth, some of these rays are absorbed by the earth, heating up the surface of the planet, whereas others are bounced back into space. But when the atmosphere has a huge amount of greenhouse gases, the greenhouse gas effect can be catastrophic. This causes that heat energy to stay in the atmosphere, heating the earth up first. Warmer conditions put biodiversity and ecosystems at risk. An ecosystem is a group of living animals that live and interact with each other in a specific environment. Oceans, deserts, and even forests are all examples of ecosystems that are made up of plants, animals, insects, and other living organisms. As one of my colleagues said earlier, the release of carbon puts ocean ecosystems at risk. This is because oceans act as vital carbon sinks. That simply means they absorb carbon, preventing it from reaching the upper atmosphere. But with higher carbon concentrations and warmer water conditions, ocean waters are going to become very acidic, and this will have a huge impact on ecosystems and the biodiversity. Biodiversity, on the other hand, is simply a term used to refer to the variety of life on Earth. The more the biodiversity, the more secure life is. The more plants there are, the more secure animal life is. Most people identify biodiversity as species, genetic, and ecosystem biodiversity. However, I will not detail that. The continued loss of biodiversity affects the food we eat and even the water we drink. Moderator, having explained those few terms, allow me now relate them with climate change. As earlier said, the atmosphere consists of gases like oxygen and nitrogen, but it also consists of greenhouse gases like nitrous oxide, carbon dioxide, and methane. Unlike oxygen and nitrogen, the greenhouse gases are dangerous to the planet because they trap heat. And there are several things that lead to the accumulation of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. One of these being agriculture. Over 56 billion animals are globally raised for food purposes every year. That's 8 times more than the human population. And the huge amounts of excrete produced by livestock emit toxic gases like hydrogen sulfide, ammonia, and methane, which is actually 23 times more effective at trapping heat than carbon. Burning of fossil fuels like coal, natural gas, and gasoline emits carbon, and these fossil fuels, when burned, create smoke, and in cities like Beijing, this smoke is so thick you cannot move out without an air filter or surgical mask. Deforestation not only emits greenhouse gases, but also gets rid of the trees that would rather have been purifying the air. Our planet has not had this much carbon dioxide in its atmosphere for millions of years. The Earth's temperature has risen massively over the past century and is still rising. According to scientists, global warming must be kept at 1.5 degrees Celsius by the year 2100. However, unless further action is taken, the planet could warm by more than 4 degrees. This will leave plant and animal life struggling to adapt to the conditions. And if any of them goes extinct, it will create a domino effect with the food chain, because no living plants or no living animals means no living humans. I know warmer weather may not seem that bad, especially here in our country, where it's warm all day, almost every day. But to the planet, even the slightest increase in temperature can be disastrous. With warmer conditions, the ice in the polar regions is going to melt, filling the oceans with more water than they can hold, and this will cause coastal regions to flood. Other regions will experience intense heat waves and even droughts. However, we are not too late. There are still things that we can do to reduce and stop the accumulation of greenhouse gases. Several countries like China, the European Union, and even our own Uganda have pledged to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 22% by the year 2030. If these pledges are kept, global warming could be limited to 1.5 degrees Celsius. And I need you all to know that when it comes to climate change, every year, every action, and every tenth of a degree matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. I can actually try to imagine a world without plants like you put it in your presentation. We shall not allow to see the future dying. You mentioned about multiple additional deaths per year, and this brings a lot of fear to us children. To our destiny, shall we arrive alive?
The only conclusion I can make out of all these presentations is that climate change and environmental degradation undermine the rights of every child. I am also worried. Let me invite to stage Arinda John Kerry to let us know whether climate change undermines our rights in any way. Kerry, your time starts counting now.
Climate change has become a direct threat to a child's ability to survive, grow, and thrive. As extreme weather events such as drought and heat waves, rising sea levels, melting snow, floods and temperature, increase in frequency and fierceness, threatening children's lives and destroy infrastructure critical to their well-being. Floods compromise water and sanitation facilities, leading to diseases such as cholera, to which children are particularly vulnerable. Children are the least responsible for climate change, yet they will bear the greatest burden of its impact. Climate change is now a reality. It is causing these extreme weather events to become more frequent and more severe. The plagues of locusts that are invading Eastern Africa, many of our countries, are made worse through climatic impacts such as drought and floods. Since I was 10, I've been passionate about this. I am proud that I've been part of environmental advocacy here at Speech Focus Africa. To everyone watching me, I have realized that there are millions of children and young people down there dealing with these harsh environments, food shortages, and failing social conditions on the ground. Governments mostly talk about sustainable development, but it's high time we recognize that climate and environment form the foundation of all the social development goals. If we fail to achieve the goals related to clean water and sanitation, climate action, life below water, and life on land, the world will fail to achieve all the other remaining goals. Most leaders concentrate on eradication of poverty, zero hunger, peace and justice, education, good health, just to name a few. Yes, these affect my life every day, but they won't be dealt with if nothing is done to stop climate change. Definitely, levels of poverty will increase because it's costly to manage the effects of extreme effects of climate change. Protecting the environment is one of the most important requirements for climate change and ensuring the rights of children all around the world. Involve the voices and opinions of children and young people in creating the policies and making decisions about climate, to which in the end will impact us and our children in the future. Support their projects that advocate for climate change, amplify their voices, for what they fight for belongs to them. Live by example and engage more actions than talks. If this is not done, then the future of the young generation is at stake. We are here. We are smart. We are activists. We have solutions. Involve us. Support us. Guide us. Show us what to do and sponsor our small projects. As governments, leaders, and parents, this is the only way you are assuring us of a better future. So, friends and leaders, as I speak to you here today on this stage, I make a bigger plea to you. Please take all the things we talk about today and put into action. For us as children, we have already started our fight against climate change through the use of our voices. All we ask for is for your support. Nothing for us without us is ours. Thank you.
Thank you, Kerry. At least there is some hope in case you use your advice. And if it means to speak up, I have also done my part and shall always do, especially here at the Kids Parliament. I think all the children out there have had it themselves.
Well, they always say, so far, so good. We appreciate your spare time to talk about this global concern. We are sure that our viewers out there now know what climate change is all about and probably how they should get rid of it. Elizabeth, I think governments should plan to resettle some of the populations to Mars because one time the Earth won't be habitable.
Ryan, why shift to Mars that can fix this Earth? Government should just style up and objectively make and implement policies that end climate change. It's all about action, not talks and talks to the empty promises. Even if we shift to Mars, the same people will mess it up, just like they have done on Earth. No!
Please, calm down. I withdraw my suggestion. To the viewers, we really appreciate your time.
It's all about responsibility. Back to the theme, we are still talking about children in the fight to end climate change. Let us guard against the danger that the young generation will face and end climate change. I know, together we can. It's true, we can. Well, we are soon coming to the end of this show. You are still watching Urban TV with me, Elizabeth, and of course, Ryan as your host.
They always say, he who laughs last, laughs best. As we prepare to conclude, there is one last speaker we want to invite to stage. She is a child advocate and she has been doing this for quite a while. Kainerugaba Vivian Chimuri, add your voice to those of the rest.
Thank you, dear moderator, for this opportunity. I have been reading a report, but this report requires no smile at all. According to UNICEF, this is the first time a global generation of children will grow up in a world made far more dangerous and uncertain as a result of a changing climate and degraded environment. Addressing climate change and mitigating its impact is imperative to save the world's children and fulfill their rights. Climate change deniers either have a problem in scientific evidence or are paid more directly or indirectly for polluting the environment. We don't need science anymore. We need responsibility. We need a world full of people who understand the kind of danger they are creating, especially for the young generation. Look for every result of climate change. Children are affected the most. We are first of all young, less immune to diseases, affected by bad weather, and depend on decisions of our parents. Dear viewers, why must we pay for the evils we didn't commit? We contribute the least to climate change, but shall pay highly. What's the fate of our future? Children, we need to stand up to the corrupt officials and multinationals who are milking the system, of course, for their selfish interests. Silence to what affects our future means we let the world decide for us. No, that's not the way to go. We feel so worried living in a world whose future projection is very threatening. Unfortunately, a few look to be bothered about ending climate change. Talks, talks, talks and talks, but no action. Dear parents, yes, you educate us, you feed us, and others even go ahead to buy us insurance policies. But that is insurance with no future assurance. Parents, take action now. Stop climate change for the generations to come, for they will inherit the world of your make. I hope we shall forgive you, for you didn't realize how special the earth was. Kainerugaba Vivian Chimuri for the Kids Parliament, voicing voices for the voiceless.
We appreciate you, Vivian, for that strong appeal. But it makes me cry, it makes me
Elizabeth,
cry.
we are live on air.
I'm just overwhelmed with fear for climate change. And to all our viewers out there, fight climate change to save our generation and the generations to come.
Every good thing comes to an end. We are coming to the end of this live broadcast. We thank you for staying tuned and specifically the Kids Parliament. Today's topic of discussion was children in the fight against climate change. With me, Lubegarian Andrew, together with my co-moderator,
Elizabeth Promise.
for the Kids Parliament, we sign out and say bye-bye.
How did you find that talk? I hope you picked one or two things. We appreciate your spare time to watch this show from the beginning till the end. It's been about children in the fight against climate change, discussed by students of public speech at Speech Focus Africa. See you again on our next broadcast.